And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for joining us. Joe will be with us momentarily. He is watching the Dodgers right now, 11th inning against the Arizona Diamondbacks, biting his fingernails because it's a nail biter right now with one out in the 11th, bottom of the 11th. Arizona has a man on second base from what I'm seeing. So we will see if the Dodgers relief pitching for once saves the day or not, because it's now 2 outs and a man on third. But it is, of course, Gerald Glass. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate you joining us. JSJ, Gregory, what's going on? Great to have you here. Looking forward to a good conversation again. Just wait for Joe. But in the meantime, I did want to make mention to you, if you have not sat down and listened or watched my NBA team preview so far, you are missing out, because there have been some great conversation with experts on these teams from all around the world. And by the time they're done, I will have interviewed people from here in the States, Mexico, Ireland, and Japan, all over. That covers the NBA. So stay tuned. There's some really good conversations that I've had and some really good conversations coming up on the world of basketball, as each and every team is previewed with a different expert each and every time out. And they all share their thoughts on the Lakers. So I hope you guys get a chance to go ahead and check it out, including my latest one that I dropped today and made available for everyone out there, which is the Detroit Pistons. And if you are familiar with the Game Theory podcast with Sam Facini, a co-host that he has on quite a bit is Bryce Simon of Motor City Hoops. And he was on with me talking the Detroit Pistons. So there you go. A little bit of podcast celebrity there on the latest episode. So go ahead and check it out, along with all the other great shows, the great episodes that I've done. And if you're a member, you get it 24 hours early as far as each and every team NBA preview. The latest one is Legend returning to go ahead and tell us his thoughts about his other favorite team, the Golden State Warriors. The Jonathan Kuminga saga is still going on. So, yes, much to discuss when it comes to the Golden State Warriors. And again, I truly, truly appreciate you checking out the NBA team previews. And there you go. But it is, of course, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again. So appreciate it. JSJ again. He says he never clicked on a notification so fast. Make sure you like and subscribe to get the latest notifications on when you do get the Lakers Fast Break, or when we go live with the latest episode, or I drop a new one right at you, or I premiere one of the latest NBA team previews, because I still got quite a bit to go. We're going alphabetically by city. So, yes, you can just tell what's coming up next right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Yes, Jovan Buha is the subject today, or the main subject per se, because again, training camp is right around the corner. Media days for some of the teams has already taken place. Some of the teams that are going abroad, Abu Dhabi has been mentioned, other places as well. They had to start their training camp a little bit earlier, and they've already, some of the teams have already been out and about on media day, talking about what's going on. New York Knicks among them, and some other teams talking about what they're going to do. Possible changes in their starting lineup with the New York Knicks has already been rumored, with Mitchell Robinson stepping in for Josh Hart. So we'll see what happens there. But I'll just say this, with the Lakers training camp coming around the corner, again, a lot of eyes will be on what the starting lineup will be that JJ Redick rolls out for the opening night game coming up here next month. And in doing so, we will find out what's going on. And Gregory, yes, thank God the Dodgers won for once. Well, I don't know if you want to say, okay, yes, the technically the relievers did hold it down, Gregory, but Vesia gave up in 1/3 of an inning 3 runs. So, yeah, there's just it wasn't a perfect relief game, but they still get it done. They still get the win. So hopefully Joe will be joining us here in a second. JSJ says Kuminga still not being signed goes to show how much he is a toxic player. I don't know about that, JSJ. I don't necessarily agree because I think it's a situation where both sides feel differently about each other. And I don't think it's all Kuminga's fault. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one because, yes, does he think himself as a player that might be not as good as he thinks he is? Yes. But does he have a lot of talent and things to the game that he could bring? Yes. But have also the Golden State Warriors at times strung him along as far as his playing time, as far as his opportunities, things of that nature? Yes, they have as well. So there, each and every side is guilty to some extent in this situation for the breakdown errors, and it just seems like it's like a bad divorce is going to happen at some point between these two teams. I just think it should happen sooner rather than later. But then again, Golden State values Kuminga enough to not want to part him for nothing less than really good value as far as in a trade. But Kuminga himself values himself to be a much better player and wants to go ahead and get a nice contract, but without team control at the back end of it. So there you go. There's your quandary indeed right there. Yeah, Gregory. As I said, and I've been saying all season, Gregory, the Dodgers bullpen has been an issue. Joe didn't want to hear me earlier this season. Yeah, I'm sorry. The bullpen has always been bad this season. I don't care how much you paid for them in the offseason. They have been bad. They just got worse and worse and worse. Look at their ERA as a bullpen. It's one of the worst in the league. Tells you right there. It's at times, like I said, I equated to going in Little League and just hitting off the tee. That's how easy it is to be hitting off the bullpen. But they got it for the most part done tonight. And that's a good sign for the Dodgers. And hopefully they can start parlaying that into more success in the future. JSJ said, go Dodgers. Now Joe is late. Yes, now Joe is late, but hopefully he'll come on in a second. But Trayvon, great to have you here as always, my friend. Looking forward to a good conversation because Jovan Buha, if you've heard him in recent weeks, this is not something today that he just posted on Twitter and just everyone said, oh, he has been saying this for quite some time. When he's been on national shows that cover the NBA. And the situation is where Jovan Buha has been adamant about Marcus Smart and about how he needs to be in the starting lineup. And the theory of Marcus Smart is great. The prospect of Marcus Smart is great. But is that the Marcus Smart of years ago or what you have now? We're not sure what's the kind of Marcus Smart we're having in training camp. So today we're going to discuss whether or not we agree or disagree with Jovan Buha. Plus, at the end, we'll talk a little bit about the bus boys having a little bit of opportunity to go ahead and do something on their own. They made a major announcement today as far as what their future might look like once they are not going to be the main ownership group when it comes to the Lakers. So we'll discuss that on the back end as well. But it is what Jovan Buha has been saying. This is not something new. He has gotten support. I think Cranjus Basketball has one of the Lakers podcast individuals that's out there. He has been publicly supportive of this. I want to get Joe's thoughts. I think you guys have heard me in recent weeks talk about how I cannot get beyond the number 54 when it comes to Marcus Smart. And that's the number of games he has played in the past 2 seasons. I am concerned that the player that is normally at 31, you're still in the prime of your career and everything's fine. But how much of a toll has all the effort that he gave earlier in this career, what kind of toll has it put on him at this point? He is certainly incentivized to go ahead and play at the best of his ability and play the kind of lockdown defense that we hope he still has left in him that he once had when he was Defensive Player of the Year. but there's such a large question mark about that happening right now based off the number of games he's played these past 2 seasons. So with that, I'm going to bring in Joe Sorrell, the guy behind the Joe Sorrell experiment, a happy man because the Dodgers did manage to squeak out the victory. Sinblades, by the way, Sinblades with the Y.com. Joe, of Jovan Buha, I know that he has not been one of our favorite cups of tea here on the Lakers Fast Break always. I do respect his opinion. So he does put out a good program. I respect the fact that he's been able to graduate from the Athletic into his own endeavor. I respect that as someone who does the same thing entirely. Your thoughts on his comments in regarding the starting lineup about changing it up because of the defensive needs that I would, say I would agree with. The Lakers do with that starting lineup that they had currently or proposed would need. So that's why he would be interjecting Marcus Smart into that starting lineup. Do you agree or do you disagree?
Well, I don't have a problem with this guy. I don't even know who he is other than his name.
No, it's not an issue with him. It's just his opinion. Do you agree or disagree with his statement on what he thinks the starting lineup should be?
Well, what did he say?
Basically, that he would have, I believe the question would be Rui or Marcus Smart, and he is leaning Marcus Smart.
I would keep Rui in and put Austin on the bench because Rui plays the 4 or maybe the 3. Austin plays the 2 or the 3, and you need a defender at the guard position, and that's what Marcus Smart plays. So if you're gonna switch out what likely will be the starting lineup, you want to switch out Austin Reeves for Marcus Smart because Marcus Smart does something that no one on the team does, and that is play sustainable defense, one-on-one defense on the perimeter.
You think?
If
again, he has not had much of a chance to prove it because of
if he's healthy, obviously if he's not healthy, then he's just like anybody else. He's not available, right? But where this is going to be important is matchup wise. This is where JJ Redick needs to pay attention to the details and not contracts and not making people happy. And if I see anyone in the rotation that doesn't belong there, you're gonna quickly find out what the results of those are going to be. And by the way, I'm not talking about game 54 during the regular season. I'm talking about when primetime happens.
Okay. That is incorrect, Laker fanatic, but great to have you back. Just know I would like to have you on your best behavior, or it's going to be the same result again as last time. And by the way, I have your real name when you posted it on Facebook, and your profile came up on as well. So I would suggest, again, be respectful of us. Please talk better about my mods. And if you don't talk better about my mods, they will see to it that they will not make your time here very well spent as well. Just it's up to you. We can be good about this thing, and you can stop saying these lies like you're doing now in the chat, and enjoy the show and be a positive part of the contribution, or you could choose not to be, and well, we'll act accordingly. And there you go. So with that, Joe, though, I can't get by the 54. That is still a number I just can't get around. I need to see him healthy out on the court first and foremost. I need to see him productive in 20 to 25 minutes coming off the bench first for at least 20 games. If it doesn't work out in the Lakers defense on the starting lineup is just that analytically bad, or just that on the court, just that with the eye test bad, then obviously you can make the changes from there. But he has to be on the court, be able to be productive and get anywhere close to what he once was in order for him to be at the level that both Jovan and you are describing right now.
That's obvious. It's not good looking at it from the fact that he was let go You don't let go of players who are capable of playing. So something's going to have to miraculously switch Marcus Smart from being available to, or from him not being available to being available. Did it mean, is he reinvigorated, that he's in a situation where he can win and showcase his talents better than in Washington? But if he had value, don't you think that Washington would have traded him for something?
Yes.
So I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to really sit here and talk about starting lineups being a certain way, at least right now. I have to see a training camp. I have to see some preseason games, and then I can assess it better. We can assume that everyone will be available because you can't really sit here and go, okay, well, Marcus Smart's probably going to miss 2 weeks in December and then probably miss a month over here. You can't do that. So you have to make your assessment off, oh, okay, so they have Marcus Smart, and you're going to assume he's going to be available. Same thing with DeAndre Ayton. And these are the things that are going to matter. And can everyone up their game a little bit? We have to wait and see. I have to see how JJ Redick sets his rotations throughout the year.
For me, starting him right away is just something I can't go with. I have to see where he is at in his career. Obviously, he is incentivized to do really well, Joe. Several players on this team are financially incentivized to do real well this season. And I know Rui Hachimura is one of them. And I'd like to see that conversation where if you're going to go ahead and start Marcus Smart ahead of Rui Hachimura, I'd like to see that conversation come about as far as between JJ and Rui and how difficult that would be.
Yeah, it's for this team to have balance, it needs to have someone at the rim that can distract penetration. You have a 7-foot guy that can somewhat do what, unfortunately, the Lakers couldn't do when they didn't have anyone, which is Jackson Hayes and DFS. They're not going to scare anybody down in the block. DeAndre Ayton isn't going to be a Rudy Gobert or a Dwight Howard, but he is capable of at least making you think a little bit. And you have to deal with him on the other side as well. So that takes up a lot of energy. Marcus Smart, if he's able to play half of his Defensive Player of the Year skills, he's already going to likely be better for this team in terms of balance than, in my view, Austin being in the starting lineup. Austin would flourish off the bench on a team that's got a good starting lineup.
That is an inaccuracy again. Joe and I don't defend Austin Reeves a whole heck of a lot. I just state what is going to happen, in that he is going to be asking for a lot of money this summer when he opts out of his contract and becomes a free agent. For a guy that is what he is offensively and what we saw defensively in the past few years in the playoffs, which I've repeatedly said, Lakers fanatic, which you are again incorrect on. It is just something where he has not been at the level you need defensively. He had one good series defensively against Jamal Murray in the Denver series, which the Lakers got swept in, and that unfortunately didn't come out to be, or actually it was a 4-1. But anyways, it just, again, Reeves to us, we've said consistently, is better as a sixth man on a championship team, Joe.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this enough. It's starting to get to training camp time, and I agree with this Buha guy that the best, if available, the best lineup would be Marcus Smart being the starter. I don't think he should replace Rui. Austin would be better off the bench.
I just got to see him perform first. I mean, you could reevaluate in 15
I am
to 20
certain.
games, but yeah, I just have to see him out
when
there.
if that's what you again, that's what I was saying. Is you're basing it off of him being available. If he's not available, that's an obvious assessment.
Yeah.
But if he's available, he is a better player. He's better balancing this team than Austin is. Austin needs the ball in his hands as well. Luka's going to have the ball, and then you also have LeBron who can get the ball, have his hands on the ball as well. You have 3 ball handlers in the starting lineup. That's generally not good balance, especially if one of the guys that doesn't handle the ball. I'm sorry, if one of the guys who handles the ball effectively for his game can't shoot consistently or get open. That's the problem. So, yeah.
There you go. Oh, well, if that's the case, though, with Austin Reeves, I know that Robert Ory goes back to what Robert Big Shot Bob said the other day that we talked about on the radio show. I just don't see a trade that you can make for him right now. I mean, a lot of these guys that signed contracts are not going to be available till December, mid-December at the earliest. So you're really stuck in a hard place as far as what you want to do with Austin Reeves right now for the Lakers. Joe? Oh, Joe. I'll jump hide Joe right there. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Joe said he has to take a call, so he's going to go ahead and do it. I hope you're right back. But again, Jade McDaniels, Lakers fanatic, says with averaging Reeves. No one's disputing that, Lakers fanatic. I don't know why you are. But look at the stats for that first round against the Denver Nuggets where the Lakers lost 4-1. Yes, he did hit the 2 winning shots, one on Reeves and one on, of course, Vanderbilt. But you also have to look at what he did overall. 29% from 3 and 44% from the field overall during that series. His lowest, one of his lowest playoff performances in his career, and that was with Reeves as the primary defender. But Reeves spent so much energy, as you remember, if you watched it, but obviously you didn't, so you're not much of a fanatic to me. If that's the case, you didn't see it. He spent so much energy on the defensive end, he didn't give you what you needed offensively. So I am not defending AR because his defense in this past round was absolutely terrible. And yes, everybody saw that. But it is not, there is precedent that he's had at least one round where it's actually been successful for him. But he is a better use off the bench as a 6th man. That's something that I think we all can come to a conclusion to. His defense against up higher level athletes is just not going to be there. He's not going to be able to give what you need. So I don't know. You seem to be arguing with yourself, Laker fanatic, but I'm hoping you're enjoying it indeed. But Joe, let me bring it back to you. So if that's the case, what do you do with this Austin Reeves quandary since you want to put Austin Reeves on the bench at this point in time, coming off the bench as your 6th man and start Marcus Smart in instead?
We've always believed, or we know that Austin as a 6th man would likely be a better fit on a championship team. And if Marcus Smart is capable, there likely will be a need for Austin to come off the bench because Marcus would be able to stay in front of the Jamal Murrays, the SGAs, if he's healthy.
Uh-huh.
If he's not healthy, then it doesn't matter. If he craps out, it doesn't matter. They're just kind of back to square one. They didn't spend any assets to get him. If it works out, it's a bonus. If it doesn't work out, they gave it a shot. It's not going to work, and that's essentially what this is.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. My issue right now that's brewing is I hope it's not high school football coach trying to appease the parent. That's what I'm worried about with JJ Redick. And I'm trying to be optimistic as much as I can that it won't happen, but I have a really, really scary feeling that they're going to set a lineup here to appease a couple people that, in my view, should not be a priority. The priority should be having the best possible lineup to try to compete for a title. And if having a disgruntled player creating this, then at that point you need to then make the decision to move that player, even if it's a lateral move at that point. That would be the only time I would say to trade Austin Reese for someone of equal value, because you're going to bring down the whole team because you want to start and you want to get your big bucks. I'm as the coach and as an organization, I'm thinking about winning a championship. You have Luka in the best shape of his career. You can say that because when you're coming up as young as he was, everyone's small when they're coming up and their body isn't fully developed. This is a developed man now who's in shape. This is the best shape of his career, and he is going to be an MVP candidate. And I'm not talking about top 5, top 10. I'm talking about the very least, probably a top 3 at the very least, likely a top 2. And you have to take advantage of those moments. And if it's about disgruntled players or a father who wants more whatever. So I know we're going to segue into the bus boys, but today when I heard the breaking news about the bus boys starting their own gig, that gave me full realization that this transfer is about to happen. Because that's the only way they're going to be able to do something like that. They're going to be getting some buco money, right? So the Guggenheims are on their way. Mark Walter's on his way. And I am in complete comfortable belief that once that happens, we're not likely as Laker fans going to have to continue to wonder what this team is going to do.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching. Truly appreciate it. Joel, may I call you Joel, Laker fanatic? Because that is your name, Joel. And I'll just say this, Joel. He had a calf strain. Yes, he did. But the proof's in the pudding. The statistics are there. He played good defense on him. He did give up one game-ending shot, and so did Jared Vanderbilt. But the statistics are there. Excuses, not excuses. Everybody's hurt in the playoffs when it comes to that late in the season. So you just have to deal with it, Joel. So sorry. But anyways, Joe, let me ask you
what is the
this.
argument here? What are we talking about?
I don't know.
I'm
Okay, because he got pissy because during our radio show the other night, he started with his lies and his fallacies. He's also on your channel. He's the one that always posts a lot of BS under different monikers under your channel. And he posts a lot of lies about you and then about me and whatnot. And
who was hampered?
Who's hampered what?
He's talking about somebody that got hampered. What is he talking about?
Oh, he's talking about, again, because I proved him wrong. And I told him that there was one instance, only one, where Austin Reeves played good defense in the playoffs. I didn't say he was a good defender. I said he's been proven poor defensively on many occasions. We even dedicated shows to his bad defense, but he did show out on the defensive end for one time and one time only in that first round against the Denver Nuggets. Because, but he's saying Jamal Murray was injured. Yes, he was. They're all hurt at that end of the season. So there is no excuse. If you're out there to play in the playoffs, you got to play. And they're there.
Yeah, the built-in excuses are abundant, especially the last few years with injuries.
Uh-huh.
However, these are world-class athletes. Maybe they should condition better.
Yeah. But no, he gets pissy because he goes and uses different monikers.
Yeah. So if you're
for
going
you
so the difference between running a 5K and the Ironman There's different preparations for that, correct?
That's correct.
So the excuse, why is it Mikal Bridges is playing every game? Maybe you all should check in with him and see what he's doing right. Okay. So if you're going to continue to use the excuse of, well, people getting hurt at the end of the year, and Achilles are blowing up and blah, 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 blah. You know, Kobe's Achilles blew up after 17 years of playing on the high ankle sprain. That's a pretty good run. That's a pretty good run. And he actually recovered pretty well from it. The problem was his shoulder then took the next one. And then his other shoulder, his other knee. I think when you look at it from a common sense thought, 17 years of balling out was a long time. And he played hard. He played with all his might. He played through everything. And I'd rather have somebody play 17 productive years than play 23 years playing at 3/4 speed. That's just me. So if injuries are going to be the excuse, players, with all the advancements in medical technology, with all the advancements in nutrition, with the amount of money these guys are making, if they're not able to condition themselves to the current landscape and culture of what the basketball NBA is, then you need to start doing that. But it's hard when you're making $40, $50 million a year to get up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm going to go run 3 miles and I'm going to do this every day, every year. Be ready, be ready, be ready. A lot of these guys like to go get their chicken wings. They like to go set up their extracurricular activities. A lot of these guys, that's their stuff. That's what they like more than maybe preparing for the game.
And I'll just say this, when it gets back to the starting lineup, Joe, you and I both know, I mean, you don't care about the money involved coming up. I understand you've stated that before, but there's a lot riding on the line for the future for guys like Rui and for Austin. So if one of them gets moved to the bench, it can cost them potentially a lot of money. When you look at it like that, and obviously we want the Lakers to win, but as you know, it's a business when you're at that level.
Yeah, I don't care about the business.
Okay. All right.
I don't care what Austin Reeves wants, Rui wants, Ayton wants. Don't care. They're not that player to care. If Luka wants something done, yeah. LeBron 5 years ago, yeah. Yeah. You're not gonna win championships with Austin Reeves and Rui being your second and third highest players on the team. If they think that they're worth 25 plus, God bless them. Go get it. Go play for Charlotte. Go play for I don't know, New Orleans. Those guys, after leaving the Lakers, will be unknown again. Possibly contracts that people hate to have. And Austin's a good player. Rui's a good player, but they're not that player. And the Lakers need that player, whoever it is, next to Luka here within the next year or two. Then you build around that. Then you build around that. If these guys want to think ahead a little bit and say, we want to be a part of what's coming. I'm not saying take a pay cut. No, I'm not saying take a pay cut. What is the reality of a well-constructed team? A well-constructed NBA team with the current landscape, with the current CBA, is you're going to pay max money for your 2 best players, and both have to be perennial all-stars, preferably. And then your 3rd, 4th, and 5th guys need to be guys that get paid well, but not max money. Not even close on most of them. And that is how I would construct the team. And the Lakers are not in a position where they'll be hamstrung because guys leave this next year. They are going to be under the cap. Therefore, they're going to have the benefits of being under the cap. And I have to worry about losing money if somebody leaves like they had to worry about when they were over the cap and D'Angelo Russell had the option of going into free agency and going elsewhere.
Well, I'll ask you this then. Again, I know you don't care, but to these guys, especially with Rui and Austin, they are probably only going to get one chance for a multi-year deal of any magnitude, Joe. And that would be coming up here if Austin opts out of his contract this upcoming season, after this upcoming season, and then also as well Rui Hashimura. Both of those guys could be free agents in the summer. And if that's the case, Joe, then I don't know. I mean, you got to have that conversation. Obviously, the best thing is for the team to put out the best players out there in the best possible positions. But again, Rui has given you every effort and has improved his shot and become more consistent. Austin has put himself into a position, yes, despite his defensive inefficiencies, they'll tell you that he's become a 20-point a game player, 25-5 type player, and one of the better third players, number 3 guys on any team in the NBA. That's what they'll tell you. So in order to have that conversation, I know it's not going to be a fun one, but we also have to, again, that's why I want to see before you have that conversation just how healthy, how effective Marcus Smart still is. That's what I need to see it. I just can't put him out there after training camp because with the record in the past 2 years of 54 games played, he could get hurt at any time.
Well, even if he's not going to be available, the Lakers are bringing back essentially the same team that they had after the AD trade for Luka. The difference is you do have a legitimate center now there who's got something to play for, and then you have motivated players in Rui and Austin who are young players, and then you have Luka who's in better shape than he was at the end of the year. And you look at Luka statistically, even being out of shape and dealing with all the mental parts of being traded. He was still pretty damn amazing. So imagine how well he's going to play now with a training camp, with preseason, with a summer. You just need LeBron to play less minutes and have almost the same production so that you can possibly ride to a 3rd seed if you can again. And then if you feel like there might be something out there that you could trade for at the deadline that would improve your chances of competing in the West, then make the trade. That's what it's going to be set up for. That's what it should be set up for. But if this process goes in a way that I'm afraid it may go, which is trying to put a piece in there that's not going to work, and it won't work, then there's going to be some problems. I would like the transition to the Mark Walter group to go through. I think my nerves on that will be completely gone until that happens. But this announcement by the Busboys gave it a little bit more that it's the dawn is coming. And I'm pretty confident that when that is official and the transfer is done, that I don't think we're gonna have to worry about Genie's head on people's shoulders stuff anymore.
Okay. All right. And I hope that that's the case. Again, all the talk that initially when the changeover was announced or the impending changeover was announced.
Well, think about it. Look what the Busboys you got to look deeper into what happened today. They're going to go start their own gig. What does that mean, Gerald? That means they're going to be gone. Anyone who thinks paying $10 to $12 billion for something and you think you're going to still be in charge, well, you're being naive at that point. And I'm talking to even Jeannie Buss. Jeannie Buss is going to be the mascot when that transfer is done. That's it.
So that's why they announced the launch of Buss Sports Capital.
Right. They know the Buss family own a minor
Joey
piece.
And Jesse, by the way.
Yeah, they own a minor piece. The family, whoever. Minor pieces of ownership mean dick. The major owner is all that matters. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the land and the arena. I'm wondering if that is going to be part of why the number goes from 10 to 12 at the end here. Because I would prefer to have Mark Walter and the group own everything, just so they can not deal with anything outside what they're good at doing, which is managing, harnessing talent, and making sure resources are abundant.
So let me get back one more thing when it comes to Jovan Buha. And once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. His words on Twitter before he made his video with that statement. Again, I respect his opinion, and obviously he has his reasons why, and they're very sound in theory, because of the fact that if Marcus Smart still is anywhere near the player he once was as a defensive player of the year, it would be the decision I would make as well. But we're not sure of that. But he said the answer of the starting lineup should be obvious. Should be obvious. I don't think it's as obvious as he says it is.
It is obvious. We talked about this months ago.
Well, yours is about Austin moving him as a sixth man.
You're talking about
54 games. I come back to the 54 games.
Forget about that right now. You keep going back to that. We're not talking about that.
I'm going to get back to that because
we have to look at this as if they're available. If you're going to sit there and go, well, if he's available, okay, then like make a decision at that point. If Marcus Smart is available, not if 54, 44, fuck all that. If he's available, he is the better option at the 2 in the starting lineup for balance, because he can actually play defense.
The player he once was. We don't even.
He's not going to be the player he was once. He wouldn't have been let go if he was.
Which is the point exactly on why you may be hesitant to put him in that starting lineup if he's not the player he once was.
Isn't that obvious?
Well, obviously, Buha doesn't think so. So, I mean, Joe, you still with us? Looks like we lost Joe there for a second. I guess he got stuck in point. Obviously, Buha doesn't think so.
What the hell he said?
Okay, I could put it out there for you. He said the Lakers' starting lineup should be obvious, and that included Marcus. But in place of Rui Hachimura.
If he's healthy, yeah, he would be a better option starting. Not for Rui though. Rui can actually hit the 3.
Well, he said it's obvious that Smart should be in front of Rui.
No, that part is wrong. No, Austin has.
So you disagree with him?
I disagree with Rui being the guy that checks out. They need to move Reeves to the bench. Rui can get to the corners and can hit 3s consistently, and he's a bigger player. They need him actually on the court more than they need Austin and at the 3 and the 4.
Again, I have to see him healthy. I have to see him out there playing at the level anywhere near what he once was. Otherwise,
he's not going to be anywhere near. It's not going to be there.
Then why would you put a player that's already on the down? You're talking about a guy that's going to already on the downside of his career. You're
talking about defensive play. You're talking about how many guards since 1990 have won Defensive Player of the Year? 3?
If he's not anywhere near, in your opinion, what he once
2?
was, then well, let me ask you
2.
this: if he's not anywhere near the player he once was, in your
opinion, doesn't need to be. His defense, half his defense. I said this at the beginning of the show. Half his defense is better than Austin's full defense. He just needs to be available.
He also needs to shoot 34% from three, 35.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to shoot whether he makes
if
them
it's
or
going to
not.
shoot like Russell Westbrook and
No, Russell Westbrook's shot isn't the issue. His problem is decision making when to shoot.
But if he's going to shoot from that with that kind of low accuracy, if he's going to shoot like sometimes he once did earlier in his career, then that's
I think this fantasy of him being who he was needs to stop. Teams do not let go of players who can still ball like they used to. So Austin Reeves' defense is that bad to where half of Marcus Smart's defense is likely going to be better. That's the discussion. And switching out Rui is a dumb move. Rui and Austin do not play the same position. And Austin is a ball. His best attributes is handling the ball. If Austin's coming off the bench, he's going to get better opportunities and score better and do better because he's going to be playing against second units night in and night out. It's to the advantage of his game.
Kind of player. You don't even know what kind of player is left in Marcus Smart.
I said that if half of Marcus Smart is there on defense, it's better than Reeves at full capacity.
But you preface it, I don't disagree with you on that. But when you're talking,
I don't know what you would say Rui, taking Rui out. What is he, friends with Reeves?
He is, well, according to our fan base, because again, I don't listen to much of his work.
What are they going to run the basketball version of the wishbone? You're going to have three ball handling, essentially guards in the starting lineup. All three of them don't play defense. All three of them.
Well, you'll have to ask him.
So now what?
Again, I only listen to him when he's on those national shows. I don't listen to his regular show. I don't listen to any of those stuff or read any of those stuff. I listen to him occasionally when he's on national shows. And when he has said that. But his reasoning is as far as what the playmaking ability of Austin Reeves. That's what he wants. That's why he wants to keep him there, despite the defensive deficiencies that Austin Reeves has.
Yes, and it's going to be more microscoped the deeper they get into the season and obviously when they get into the playoffs. So it's best to make sure Marcus Smart, if he's healthy, is available for the playoffs. You can get away with Austin playing the way Austin plays during the regular season, but you can't rely on him on the defensive end in the playoffs. Luka is going to be the James Harden version of between 2015 and 2020. James Harden didn't play defense willfully, but he was such a dynamic offensive player. It was able to cover a lot of that. And if not for Chris Paul getting injured in 2018, who knows what would have happened in that series when they were up 3-2. We could be talking about how Houston won the championship that year, for all we know. I know it's an if thing, but I'm talking about his game works. It would have worked had he had a couple, sometimes you need some luck. He didn't have any good luck in that particular year. He didn't have the luck at that moment. And the Lakers they absolutely cannot cater to anything other than to try to win the game. And I'm going to feel a lot at ease once the transfer is through, because I have strong feelings that those things will be set right. And if not, you're going to start hearing the buzz about J.J. Redick not being the coach of the Lakers too long.
And again, I don't want to go. It always comes back to money in these type of situations. So if you ask Rui or Austin to go back to the bench, well, we don't care because we just want wins for the Lakers. To these guys, that could be a cost of tens of millions of dollars that they cannot ask for out in the open market, because we see what a reserve gets, even like the top reserves in the league, what they can earn on a paycheck as opposed to a starter. Even if you're one of the below average starters in the league, as long as you're a consistent starter in this league, you usually will get paid more than what a reserve gets. Am I not correct on that, Joe?
Yeah,
I mean, so you don't make those decisions lightly. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Joe.
I don't care about their money.
I know you don't.
I don't give a shit about their money.
I know you don't.
And Austin Reeves is not, and neither are Rui, are $25-30 million a year players. The market might open up at the right moment for them to get paid that, but they're not. They are not going to benefit your team in terms of winning. They can make that. They can go make $30-35 million a year. Go play in Brooklyn.
Now Tony has a good point. Tony, appreciate you joining us as well. He is late. Tony is saying that Lakers are too slow with Rui in the starting lineup. He is not a natural 3. I would say he's more 4, but he has to guard 3s, as you know, over the past couple seasons by default. Are the Lakers too slow with Rui on the defensive end in the starting lineup?
That's going to be slower with DeAndre Ayton. Half court should be okay. If they're going to be running and gunning, then LeBron needs to go to the bench, and then you can run with not at the beginning. I'm talking about if you're going to be running more during a 40-minute game, might be best to then let LeBron rest in those times a little bit more and more as the season goes on, and then you can use Austin as the trailer, as the weaver. But I don't know if this team is smart enough, capable of to run the break. When LeBron was running the break in 2020, it was some of the best basketball I had seen LeBron play in his career. Him being the point forward, like if LeBron had AD, Caruso, KCP, and Rondo, like if he had those guys in Cleveland, like at the beginning, he would have won titles left and right. That was the perfect team for LeBron James, more so than the 16 team. And I know some might not agree with this in Miami, but even better than the Miami teams. The reason why Miami won in those years is Chris Bosh embraced his role, Wade embraced his role, and LeBron was at a above iconic prime level. It was simply talent and knowing your role from the big boys, where they were able to win a couple championships. But the perfect team, I'm not just saying this because it's a Lakers team. It's just, if you look at this construction of the team, you had JaVale McGee, let's say, the perfect starting center for a team like that, someone who makes the other team think about getting to the basket, and someone that can get alley-oops to start the game. Every single game, you have to deal with the fact that guy can jump out the building and get you 2 or 3 baskets right out of the gate and get the momentum going, right? And then you had AD, who then would slide at the 5 once they went small. Perfect combination, perfect matchup change. And then you had the Carusos and you had the KCPs who could play defense. You had Rondo who could dictate. Also, you could shift LeBron to the 3, put Rondo at the 1. Like the interchangeable parts of that team. And then Frank Vogel being a defensive master. That was honestly, and it's a shame. It's a shame that team didn't stay together long enough, because I feel so confident that they would have won at least one more championship with that lineup. It's just they panicked and it ruined everything. And to me, that's the kind of team that unfortunately we can't do with this team. But I'm just trying to compare it to what this team is. It's a completely different team. One team was run and gun. The other is likely going to have to make their bones in the half court.
So let me put it to you from a different context, a little different context. Because remember last season, for quite a stretch, the Lakers played a top 5 defense. In fact, at times, the number 1 defense during a period of time right before the Luka trade and after the Luka trade as well. So let's just put that in perspective. I don't really think that they could get anywhere near that with the starting lineup that they have now. Even with Marcus Smart in the lineup, I don't think they could get that high. But let's just say they keep it the way it is, and Marcus Smart is coming off the bench. And let's just say it's keep it to the familiar names we know, plus DeAndre Ayton in there. The Lakers would, in your opinion, if they kept it the familiar lineup that they had, plus DeAndre Ayton, with Austin, Rui, LeBron, and Luka, is that not a top 5 offense in the league? Maybe. Would you rate it about that? In the starting lineup, per se. Is that a top 5 starting lineup as far as the offensive end in the league?
No.
You don't think that could produce offensively?
Sure, in certain spots during the year, but
you have a 30-point scorer and 2 20-point scorers plus 2
but you're not. If Luka's on fire this year, it's not likely that Austin's going to average 20 points a game. LeBron,
I want to say 15, 17 points.
I don't know. I know it's probably not likely going to be 20 if Luka's on top of his game, because he's going to take a lot of room from that.
Good point.
There, what was it? Hold on, let me go back to this real quick. Who said that the team is not very athletic? And that's another issue. LeBron is sort of athletic, which is not good considering it's a 23-year player. He's probably the best athlete in that starting lineup.
But you're right, Greg.
Luka is slithery athletic, but not freakishly athletic. Austin's not freakishly athletic, even though he has a spark sometimes. Rui's not crazy athletic, and then DeAndre Ayton is athletic. In a league where you have athletic freaks who can jump out the building in all positions in a positionless game, it's hard to look at that and say, oh, this team's gonna be that kind of. They don't have that kind of fundamental. Like, even as long as LeBron has played, he's never shown to be fundamentally sound game in and game out. It's not his game. He uses athleticism more than he uses his fundamentals. Luka plays Luka ball. He doesn't play any other game. That's just what he does, and that's what's made him great. And then Austin Reeves and Rui are third-tier players that have played above their assessments. And that's kind of where that is. And then DeAndre Ayton is, at this point, a letdown as a number 1 overall pick. That's what you have right now. Can JJ Redick tap into all these guys mentally and have them play better than they've played before? That's what needs to happen. Can he put them in the spots that make sense? Is he going to be too worried about other people's money? Is he going to be worried about what somebody might think if he doesn't do certain things? That's really where my attention is. And we're going to find this out pretty quickly, I think.
The one thing I want to ask you, though, Tufso put it in there. He said that LaRavia is kind of athletic. We don't talk much about Jake LaRavia. Again, he came off of a really good season, by far and away his best season. In fact, his first 2 seasons were so disappointing, the Memphis Grizzlies decided not to extend his contract for a 4th year, thus making him a free agent. And I think it's a really under-the-radar signing and basically a buy low option right there with a very possible high return for only $6 million for 2 seasons each with Jake LaRavia. If he can get anywhere close to 40% for 3, he does have the ability to guard on the perimeter. No, he's not a top-of-the-line defender, but he is active and is willing to defend. I know you haven't seen much on LaRavia. Have you checked up any further on LaRavia this summer since the Lakers have signed on?
All I know is his defensive rating was horrid. Okay. They basically brought LaRavia in to replace Dalton if Dalton goes AWOL.
He was playing for Sacramento the second half of the season. Does that
defense? I think Phil Jackson had mentioned this. Defense in a lot of ways is about desire. So when you were talking about how the Lakers were a top 5 defending team a couple times during the year, especially right after the Luka trade, I noticed that their defense was really good, and that's why they were winning games. But then they ran out of gas because they were playing above their talents. They were playing above their capacity to pay attention to the details and keep that mental focus. That's why I do not like Jared Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has it not. This isn't a clinical term. This is more basketball, but I'm using the phrase because people know what this is. He's too ADHD to be consistent. He's not focused. He can't even catch the ball when it's coming to him on a consistent basis, and he's afraid to get to the basket. He's basically Ben Simmons light in a lot of ways. He's afraid to get the ball, and he's afraid to that his shot's going to get blocked or whatever. That's why he's always afraid around the basket. And that to me is a travesty considering his size and his ability. Last thing you should be worried about for being that athletic and that tall with long limbs is having your shot blocked. Practice. What do these guys do with practice? Where are the coaches? I told you about that drill, didn't I? That drill that I think would help when everybody was missing at the line.
You did. I thought that was very sound. I wanted to
try to. Or are they worried about these guys? Or maybe the fact that anytime you breathe on Jared Vanderbilt, he's out for 3 months. He is a mental weakling. And I say that not because I'm trying to be mean. It's who he is. There's no other explanation for it. And I don't care that he's played good defense for a 27-game stretch and the Lakers are 19-8. I don't care about what happens in January through March. Every time he shows up in April and in May, he turns into a pumpkin. And so does Austin Reeves. So until those guys can prove that they can play when it matters, my assessment is going to be based off of putting the best lineup on the court so that this team can compete for a championship. I don't listen to Jovan Buhas. I don't listen to even Colin Cowherd anymore. I don't listen to anyone of the mainstream sports media anymore because it's not about the information anymore. It's about the Dallas Cowboys. It's about pumping up their own bullshit, pumping up the advertisers. And in this day and age, we're fortunate that we can look at information in sports, find what we want, and discard all the other trash. And props to Ad Blocker. I don't have to watch these stupid-ass commercials when I'm watching something, too. Make better commercials, and I'll watch your commercials. So I don't know how this is going to end. But the cynic in me says, well, it's actually not the cynic in me. It's the tracks sort of have already been talked about by the leaders, by JJ Redick specifically. There's been talk that he has a certain process that might have certain lineups coming up this year. And if that comes to fruition, the Lakers are going to be in trouble. So y'all better be careful.
Jay was asking, is Vanderbilt the least talented player that played Calipari with Calipari? Vando was a one-and-done guy, Joe and G. Calipari.
Probably not.
No, I don't think so either, but his game has regressed. I was hoping, Laker Fanatic pointed out, McDaniels, how his game has evolved into where he took advantage of the Lakers and had 2-3 games where he dominated the Lakers as well. It was either
he's like a Willie Cauley-Stein. Jared Vanderbilt is like a Willie Cauley-Stein in that he was a good player in college who had so much promise, but turned into pumpkins in the NBA when they had to focus. Willie Cauley-Stein was too focused on putting more tattoos than he was playing basketball. It's too bad because he had the physique and the athleticism to be a juggernaut on defense at the very least. But you have to be socially brutal. This is today's day and age. If this was 20 years ago, this would be nothing. This would be normal stuff. But you have to be fully honest on the fact that some of these players are dog shit bad in the NBA. And while I'm not an NBA player and never would have been an NBA player, that's not the point. You could say that about anything. There's dog shit plumbers. There's dog shit landscapers who trim trees and trim bushes. Trying to find somebody that does that well is like trying to find a good mechanic. It's hard, or a good pool maintenance guy. It's no different. What does a pool guy got to say? Hey, you've never done this. What gives you the right to judge? Right? We're assessing. We're here to assess what's going on. If you suck in the NBA, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're not accomplished. These guys all won. Jared Vanderbilt is a millionaire because of this. He's won in life. But in terms of the NBA and his effect on the team, he's dog shit bad. I mean, bad to the point where I don't want to watch him play. And Tim Conley, and Tim Conley,
3 more years.
And Tim Conley, okay, yeah, I know. We all know that. You keep mentioning that. Tim Conley is a little bit of.
I'll keep mentioning that, by the way, and I'll keep mentioning it because how bad. When we talk about Rob,
can you focus on what's going on right now instead of worrying about 3 years from now?
You don't get it, but all right.
I don't need to hear that he needs to be here 3 more years.
Oh, you will hear it from me.
I don't need to hear it. But I already know that. I have hoops hype. I can see the contracts.
But you'll continue to hear it.
The truth hurts. There's too many shows that say the cliche of we're here to tell the truth, we're uncensored, we're blah 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 blah. I don't look at what I say in those terms. I'm just telling you what's there. Everyone should be thinking the way I think when it comes to the obvious. If something walks like a dog, barks like a dog, it's a fucking dog. Don't tell me it's a cat. And what happens is those who don't do that, don't respond in that way, they now give clearance for that idiot who says it's a cat and gives them credibility because they don't want to be rude or they don't want to start something. No, if it's a dog and it's walking like a dog and it barks like a dog, you need to call it a dog. I don't want to hear about some cat shit.
By the way, Jeremy Reddish signed with a European team in recent days, I believe, according to Clutch Points.
Talk about the waste of talent.
That's true. Again, you guys out there, when he was with New York and you were seeing those rare highlights of him, you guys were all over Twitter and all over this chat saying, oh, man, the Lakers have got to get him. The Lakers have got to get him. And I was saying on the show, you be careful what you wish for because you just may get it. And the Lakers did. And saw what happened. Like you said, Joe, a waste of talent.
When you have nothing and anything means something at that point, the Lakers continue to be in this hope phase of things, and it's tiring. It's tiring to hope.
But the fact we're having this conversation with
decisions
Marcus Smart,
need to be made immediately in cases like this. That's one of the great things about the NBA. The NBA player rarely changes his stripes. The Brook Lopez and he was a good player anyways, even before, but the fact that he reinvented his game, those things don't happen. They don't. They're not, Jared Vanderbilt is not going to all of a sudden miraculously start being able to dunk the ball, being comfortable. It's just not. And if it does happen, then thank God. But it's just not likely. And I don't want to waste my time wishing and hoping for some guy who's a mental midget on the court to all of a sudden miraculously become something else that's more positive on the court. I'm tired. I'm tired of hoping and wishing for certain players to do what they should be doing. I'd rather the fact that we're talking about contracts for Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves is a waste of time. It's a waste of air, waste of space, in my view. We're going to talk about it because it's Laker news. That's fine, but it's a waste of time where it matters, because these guys cannot be your priority. The priority right now is to win a championship this year if you can, but you have to. You need somebody else to come play with Luka, and it's not Rui and Austin in terms of the second pillar.
What I want to ask you, though, is, again, when it comes to the discussion of Marcus Smart, I think that's because the fact that, and this goes back to Vanderbilt, is that Vanderbilt and his 3 years more on his contract, because of what Rob signed and what Rob evaluated him as a talent and what we also evaluated as a talent, are very different. His, I don't want to say failure, but his not being able to become that player that you can put out there in the starting lineup to defend at a high level, but also not be an enigma on the other end. I think is part of the reason why, Jovan Buha, you are so apt to put him into the starting lineup, because the fact that Vanderbilt was supposed to be developing into that position, but clearly it cannot be. And I don't know if it's the double foot surgeries, but like you said, his hands didn't get surgeries on them. His hands still have an issue catching the ball consistently. And with that, that's a problem for the Lakers going forward, because the conversations we should have about Jared Vanderbilt's are the ones that we're having now about Marcus Smart instead.
Yeah. Thing is with Marcus Smart is he's not afraid of the ball, and he can shoot relative to.
I'm glad you corrected yourself on that.
He can shoot better than Vanderbilt. That's what I meant
true.
to say. So it's a waiting game. We got to see if these guys care about their money or they care about winning, and a lot of times that go hand in hand. So it's going to be a feeling out process. Seems like every year we're doing the same thing. We have yet to go into a season feeling good. It's been a while. I haven't felt good about going to a season since 2021.
Do you feel about good now?
I feel good that Luka will be a star of an MVP. I'm hoping that LeBron doesn't pout.
Mm.
Then even if he does, I have some relief that this is going to be the last time we have to deal with this as Laker fans.
Well, again, they did a recent survey at ESPN and with GMs behind the scenes, and barely above retirement was that he would be staying on the Lakers after this season, or at least play another year per se. But like you said, you wouldn't necessarily mind it as long as it came at a highly reduced salary. Is that correct?
Yes, and preferably winning a championship. And then I would sign him in for one more year, and then that's it. Okay. This team has to go on with their lives. 24 years is enough.
I hope so, but
I don't see him taking a pay cut of $10 million. I don't see that.
What if the rumors of Bryce jumping to the NBA next season start to matriculate him up?
Mark Walter and the Guggenheims are not going to play the Genie Bus game.
Okay.
I just don't see if once Mark Walter has the team officially, I don't see LeBron coming back after this year, unless they win a championship and he's on a reduced. His money's reduced. He would have to. LeBron would have to drop 27, 9-9, and win Finals MVP type performance to probably garner a chance at maybe getting what he wants next year. And I'm all for it if he can do it.
Because you stated on a radio show that in regards to LeBron, if where he stands, where you stand on him as far as how you see it, you want to just be done with it and you want to move on from it. But with that, again, there's always that allure that we don't know how it's going to play out. Mark Walter, you said, is immediately once that takeover happens is going to take control of the team. You would think he would for $10 to $12 billion, but there's still that lingering thing that's around there with as far as what has been said previously about how much control Genie will have after the sale has been completed.
I don't believe she'll have any control other than being the mascot. Common sense has to seep in here for everybody. No one is paying $10 billion to sit around and wait for Genie to make a decision. They might as well. So. There is no think so. This you'd have to be the dumbest person on the planet to think that you're going to drop $10 billion. Why would they drop $10 billion then if they're just going to let Genie run everything? Might as well just keep what they were doing.
Then why did she say that when that announcement was made?
Why did Mark Cuban say he was going to be in charge for the foreseeable future? Then all of a sudden he wasn't. These guys
Same
are
thing with
these
Boston.
guys.
The
these
Boston
guys
deal
are,
as well.
You have to look at how Mark Cuban and the Genie buses of the world operate. Remember, PPP bus. When it matters most, people will reveal who they really are. Mark Cuban and all the BS that's gone on in the Mavericks back offices is supposed to be a guy that's power of industry, popular guy, right? Genie's supposed to be this, I'm just here to give everybody hugs and stuff. She may not be a billionaire, but she's worth what, $700 million? Yet she's trying to get $2 million of something so that she can cover something, right? Because she can. And then of course what made it worse is she gets caught and then returns the money.
Well, Starkiller said it best as far as Gruspek, because Gruspek, during when the Boston Celtics changeover was announced that it was in process, that Gruspek was going to stay in control for the foreseeable future. And then when it finally got solidified, suddenly that didn't happen any longer.
Thank you for bringing that up. You're not paying $10 billion to have Genie Buss run your team.
I certainly wouldn't.
Or Rob Pelinka, or Rich Paul, or Maverick Carter. As popular as LeBron James is, the Guggenheims can put all of LeBron James's net worth in there. What is that pocket in the jeans in front? Not the real pocket, the little pocket.
No, the one that's like right there next to the belt.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn tight. I'm just
with
say,
this is
I'd never put anything in that.
This
pocket.
is and I gotta give props to my guy Empire Jeff.
Oh, Search actually got it. Did you check out Search's comment?
Thank you, Search. I never put a condom in there. I usually put a lighter in there if I was smoking a cigar. But anyways, that's a good one too. I gotta hand it to Empire Jeff. He and I have connected a lot the last few weeks on the results discussion. Before there was a lot of, and I'm sure it was he understood what I was saying before, but it really probably hit him a little bit more this last few weeks, especially with what's been going on with the Dodgers. Because I really went all in on this. I really had to explain it maybe a little bit more in detail, and maybe it finally started to set in a little bit. But it really, really is. It's so hard for so many people to understand their inadequacies. They don't want to know about their inadequacies publicly. They know it internally, and a lot of it is subconscious. And it seeps into everything. How they handle their children, how they handle their spouse, how they handle coworkers, how they handle going to the store and dealing with the clerk there, whatever. In the end, you scan the room and you look for the results. And when the results are not there and they're supposed to be there, or we're being told they're going to be there and they're not, you need to speak up and tell them you ain't doing shit. I don't give a shit if you're, a plumber, a manager, a coach. You were hired to do a job. And I'm seeing no results. Don't come back with some excuse. Oh, you don't know what this is about. I had nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with me. You were hired to do a job. You're not doing it. No different than hiring a mechanic, hiring a plumber, hiring an electrician. If they suck at their job, what are you going to do? Sit back and watch them burn your house down and say, well, I've never done electricity, so therefore I can't say anything to them? Bullshit. You're going to go online like the pipsqueak weasel that you are. You're going to go put a 1-star on there. You're not going to tell them to their face. In sports, you can't really do that. So this is how you do it. It doesn't matter. And the beautiful thing about what I'm telling you right now is the reason why I live a good life is because of that reason. Because it avoids bullshit. People either respond or they fuck off. And then they'll talk about you later, somewhere else with their cousins and their whatever. I'm here for the results. If you can't produce the results, your ass needs to be replaced. I don't want to hear excuses on who, what, where, why. I know the sports pretty damn well. I'm not inconsiderate. I can tell by how the game flow is. We sat there and we watched Frank Vogel coach this team for 3 years. Gerald, did you hear me say one negative thing about Frank Vogel in the time he was coaching? No. Why? You know why?
You love
because I thought he is a good coach. And he had to deal with a Russell Westbrook. And he had to deal with the unfortunate short season that killed their chance at repeating. But and that was the other thing too, is this man didn't have Anthony Davis for half a season that year, and he still had the number one defense that year. I am not an inconsiderate person. If you know what you're doing, even if the results aren't wins, there's not everything is black and white. You got to pay attention to the detail too. Frank Vogel did as much as he could, and he was disrespected by his bosses, by Jeannie, by Rob. They treated him like a piece of shit, and that a lot of that actually was a part of my disdain for them. Why are you treating Frank Vogel like this? Like he's some ham? This guy brought you a championship. Not a lot of Laker head coaches that have won championships. What is it? Frank Vogel, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, Bill Sharman, and Kudla in Minneapolis. John Kudla. That's it. 5. 5. Storied franchise. The storied franchise of the LA Lakers since 1947. Well, technically 46 if you count the Detroit Gem beginning, which technically is 46, 47. He was one of them. And you treated him like shit. So, then you hired Darvin Ham, who didn't know his ass from his eyebrows. And on top of that, insulted Laker fans by saying we care too much. Asshole, we're watching the game 3 hours a day, 5 days a week sometimes. We're invested in this dumb shit. What do you mean we care about those games? The reason why we care about those games is so that you're not starting the playoffs as a 7th seed and having to go on the road every round. You get it? So you want me now to sit there and go, well, I've never played in the NBA and I've never been a head coach in the NBA. Then why is a guy who played in the NBA and is a coach in the NBA saying stupid shit like that? That's what some idiot at a bar would say when I'm at Buffalo Wild Wings. That's not what a head coach is supposed to say in the NBA or even have that mentality. If he wants to say it in private at least. Save yourself the humiliation. But that's who he was, right? He did tell the truth. Unfortunately, the truth was stupid. So the criticism comes from lack of results at that person's position. And if you interpret that in any other way, that's on you. That's on you. And if the LeBron fans are upset that I'm not happy with LeBron, well, go tell LeBron to earn $52 million. He ain't earning $52 million. Maybe he'd earn 20. Oh, Genie's making a bunch of merchandise off it. I don't give a fuck about merchandising. I'm a fan. I'm invested so that they can win. I don't care about jersey sales.
Okay.
That's it. That's the bottom line for everything. I'm in the results business. I am not in anything else, because why would I be in anything else? I got to sit there and feel good all the time because I want to manipulate myself into feeling good? No, I'll feel good when I have a reason to feel good. If everything is to shit, I'm not going to feel good. And I'm going to say it. If I feel good, I feel good then. Good. I'd love to feel good all the time. But that's just not the world we live in. Today I'm driving home. Morons don't know how to drive.
Yes.
And they don't know. They're the same guys saying that I don't know how to drive, even though I'm sitting there.
I almost got taken out on the way home as well. So
Yeah, you're sitting there, and I mean, I'm
driving a straight line, and
literally saw a lady get out of a parking spot. I mean, if I had a video on, the lady didn't even look to the right. If we had not paid attention, boom, would have T-boned her right there in the parking lot. And I remember, I even told the driver, I said, let her go, watch, and then honk right now. And then they honked, scared the bejesus out of her. And I wanted to go over to say, you're lucky we were paying attention. You're lucky we were paying attention, and you need to pay attention. The lady didn't even think of looking to the right. In a parking lot, out of a parking spot. When are you not going to look? People with their heads. People with
the freeway, Joe. I was driving on the freeway. Same thing. They didn't look to their right, and I'm just driving in a straight line on the freeway, going 55. Here comes the car. He's getting closer. He's getting closer. He's getting closer. He's coming to you, ready to take out my front end until I honked, and then they go back in their own lane. And then I'm driving by them, Joe, and they give you like the weirdest look, and I'm like, come on, you're the idiot that made that mistake.
You have to be a defensive driver and then know when to put in the offense. And that's essentially the driving that you have to do in an area where there's too many drivers. When I moved here 16 years ago, the main road that we had was always a problem anyways. Now it's a bigger problem because there's so many cars now, because development have brought in more people. And most drivers in general are just, they're not paying attention to how you're supposed to drive. You don't have to weave back and forth. I'm not saying to do that, but get a good feeling on what's going on the road. Know when to turn left, when to turn right, when to get in front of a car. But people have their head up their ass. Bunch of people that have bad decision makers. That's it. And that's part of the discussion tonight, a little bit about what's gone on, and hopefully this regime change is going to finally set this thing right. Too many bad decisions in the last 4 seasons from people that have all the resources, have all the prestige, all the cachet, and yet I'm supposed to kiss their ass because they're famous and they're rich. No. I'd say they all made really, really bad decisions 99% of the time.
JSJ, it might have been because it was we were facing the sun. All the traffic was facing the sun. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, it just was like you see that, man. You're like, it gets closer, and it's getting closer to your front end, and they're just making a normal what they think is a normal lane change. The problem is you're in that lane change. And it just, yeah, again, could have been the sun, but yeah, like you said, when they give you that look as you drive on by and think that you're at fault, and all you did was just drive in a straight line, it's just like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But Joe, great conversation as always. Again, if you have thoughts on, do you agree that it's obvious, like Jovan Buha was saying, even though Joe wants to keep Rui in the starting lineup, I would like to see, and just to see if Marcus Smart could stay healthy and give you 25 minutes a game before you make that decision to go ahead and put him in the starting lineup for Rui or Austin. Let us know your thoughts, and just would love to hear it. So please also make sure you like and subscribe. And don't forget my NBA team previews. I'm running off one every single day. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I mean, if you are a fan of the Game Theory podcast, I just dropped to everyone out there my conversation with Bryce Simon on the Pistons. So he is on that show quite a bit. So hopefully you get a chance to check it out. But Joe, do you have any Joe Sorrell experiments coming up in the near future before we head on out?
I'm sure there's going to be some good ones coming here now that the playoffs are near. Tonight's game was a nice change from what's been going on the last few weeks.
Vesia didn't make it any easier for you, but
no, and I'll give Vesia some leeway. He's been the one guy that was dependable the last few weeks. He just finally hit his wall now, so I'm not gonna throw acid to him. Thank God Trident came in and did what he did. Props to Kershaw. If by some miracle Kershaw becomes, I'm trying to keep this. I'm trying to keep this. I don't want to jinx it. If Kershaw is Tim Lincecum in 2014. That might shed it. I might shed a tear if that happened. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Tim Lincecum is the San Francisco Giant great pitcher from their 3 title win team 15 years ago. And he took relief duties on the title team in 14. And I contributed that title to the fact that Lincecum took Bochy's request and made it happen, and he was an integral part of them winning that year, that playoff run. If Kershaw has that kind of impact in this year's playoffs and they win it all, and I can just only imagine him closing out a World Series clinching game as the closer. I mean, what a way for him to go out, and I would shed a tear for Clayton Kershaw to go out a winner in that way. That's kind of what's been on my mind since the game tonight. Oh man, I could just only imagine. I mean, it was there actually a few weeks back, but it became kind of a reality today in watching him come out of the bullpen. Man, what a way for him to go out if that's something that happens. And you're likely going to see more of the piggyback games in this next playoff run. So the Dodgers were able to win a World Series last year with a bullpen. They're going to have to win a World Series likely this year with their starting pitchers, even if they are in relief. And that's what it's looking like. Unless Trident, Robleski, and these guys do what they did tonight, Tanner Scott's done. I think Tanner Scott should not be on the roster in the playoffs. Let him. Sometimes this happens with relief pitchers. They have bad years.
expensive contract to leave off
It
the
doesn't
roster.
matter. Yeah, at this point, it doesn't matter. You can't afford to risk losing in the playoffs
Oh,
with
I
him.
didn't say I disagree with you. I
Yeah,
just said that's an expensive one to
Kirby
leave on
Yates.
roster.
Kirby Yates play last year was his was it the coup de grace? Is that how they say it? This year he came in trying to maybe win a championship because I think he's retiring at the end of the year. He can't be on this thing. And then Trident was tinkering on that. I said if one more bad performance, and you can't put him in the playoff roster either. But he came in today and pitched absolutely dynamite the last out. And then you got Dreyer, you got Robleski, you got Banda, you got some good arms in here. We got to cross our fingers and hope that they turn it on when the playoffs start. And then, of course, the starters will be available to go extended, to an extended time, more than normal, so that they can wrap this sucker up and win back-to-back championships.
But we will find out indeed about the Dodgers. Again, I don't know. I know you have issues with Roberts, but the how he's utilized the bullpen. Bullpen's been bad from the start this season, which is a shame because again, all the faith that management and the front office put into those guys, signing them to fat contracts in the offseason, and just to see this bullpen throughout the year, Joe, been so bad and it's just so disappointing because that is a major reason why the Dodgers are in the predicament that they're in.
Well, I'm
right
not going to
now.
blame Matt. I'm not going to blame the executives. They put themselves and their money out there to get the best possible talent to come in this year.
Based
I'm not
on
going.
what they did previously,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you can't. I
definitely
can't. No, you cannot. You cannot logically blame Andrew Friedman for acquiring the talent that they
I'm
acquired.
not. I'm just saying
No,
what they
I know,
put
I know.
into
But
it.
I'm saying this because I want to make it very clear that I'm not blaming. I'm not blaming the acquisitions. Not a single one. Every one of those acquisitions was supported by every Dodger fan. So if anybody comes on here or anybody goes on something and starts blaming Andrew Friedman for doing this, you're a hypocrite. You know damn well you were happy when Tanner Scott signed. You were damn happy when Kirby Yates signed. You're damn happy that Edmonds signed because I was hearing some stuff about him. You were damn happy when screaming that Teo needed to be re-signed. A lot of people were turning the corner on that, right? Like you can't have your cake and eat it too, whatever the hell that means, by the way. You can't be happy and then all of a sudden blame that same person who made you happy. That's a cop out. That's chicken shit. My issue is the same issue I've had for years with the same leader in the dugout. Dave Roberts sticks with certain guys too long, and it cost him the best record in the league because of it. Tanner Scott has been toast all year, and you kept using him when he was burnt. And it cost you. He's blown 10 games. Imagine that. Let's just say normally somebody's going to, especially in today's landscape in baseball, let's say he blows 3 or 4 games. That leave you 6 games that you should not have used him. 6 should have been wins, but you wanted to use him in high leverage situations, thinking about what? Thinking about the future. Well, that only works if it works. And it wasn't working. You needed to go another route. This team would be in a completely different position right now if they had 6 more wins. They would not have to worry about starting the NLDS on the road, in which they have sucked immensely on the road all year, no matter what was going on in the bullpen. They are below 500. A team that's below 500 on the road typically isn't going to win anything in any sport. That's a bad sign. That's a worse sign than even the blown saves. So now you're going to start in Philadelphia. Should you get out of the first round, which is the wild card round, you're going to have to go to Philadelphia on a short series. First 2 games are on the road.
And just to clarify, I wanted to make sure because you guys are talking about Russell Westbrook. Remember, if he were to be signed, Joe, by any team, the Lakers, Houston, which needs a point guard because of Fred VanVleet's injury, he would have to sign for the veterans minimum. And most of these teams, like the Lakers and Houston, are up against the second apron so close, they can't afford it right now. Now, later this season, that veterans minimum becomes prorated, based on the amount of games that they can play or eligible to play. So maybe you could, I do see him being signed at some point, but there are not a whole bunch of teams that need a backup point guard that can afford to pay him right now, Joe. So Russell Westbrook and some other interesting veterans are on the outside looking in, because it goes back to what you've been saying about the CBA and what was negotiated for those veterans.
Well, this is one of those positive things that the CBA has created. I wouldn't sign Russell Westbrook for free.
Well, I'm just using an example, John, that the Lakers, because the Lakers have a spot open, but they cannot sign a veterans minimum because they just don't have the money for it. They're too close to the second apron to do so. It was just an example. But Houston can't do it, Joe, because Houston, like the Lakers, are so close to that second tax apron. They just can't do it.
Right. And again, that's a good thing. It's good to be restricted like that, because the last thing you want on any of your teams that are going to compete is Russell Westbrook and his BS. Russell Westbrook, I think at this point, in my view, I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think somebody will eventually pick him up because they'll need something. But I think it's time for Russell Westbrook to retire.
Or go like was talked about with Jeremy, because he said JaVale McGee's in Australia. So
if I'm Russell Westbrook, Australia, what has he made? $300 million in his career?
I would
400
say roughly,
maybe. Yeah. If I'm him, I retire and start doing something else. I go into Europe and all that. I don't know necessarily if that's something he probably needs.
But yeah, any of those players that are out there, not Kuminga or Grimes, because they have a decision to make on a contract with, by October 1st. They either have to agree to just take the tender or come to an agreement on a contract. So we'll be very curious to see what they do by the first for those two guys. But everybody else that's out there, like the familiar names, like Malik Beasley, who just got cleared, or somewhat. So I believe if you want to go ahead and after him, also as well, of course, Westbrook, guys like that, they have to sign the veterans minimum right now. So other teams, a lot of these teams can't sign guys like that right now. I do know that, again, it's going to be solidified that Horford, Seth Curry, DeAnthony Melton, I think there's another name. They're all expected to sign with Golden State once the Kuminga thing gets itself sorted out. So that's a different story altogether. But I just wanted to make mention because I know his name is talked about as far as for the Houston situation. But right now, it can't work out. Now, later on in the season, if he still remains a free agent, Joe, let's say halfway in the season, he could be signed to a veterans minimum because it would only cost them half that much, which may slide into that salary cap. But right now, the math doesn't work out for most teams right now for Russell Westbrook.
Do not sign. My advice to anybody, unless you're trying to sell a couple tickets in Charlotte or something, I would not touch Westbrook with a 800-foot pole.
Oh, neither would I. Trust me, neither would I. But I just wanted to make sure that was cleared up, because I know that a lot of people out there, they can't in their time figure out the cap and all that, because it is something that always seems to be fluid as far as the ever-changing ideals and things that are in the CBA. But yeah, definitely wanted to go ahead and say thank you, Joe, for stopping by. Again, the Joe Soro experiment is out there. Joe, any last thoughts before we head on out, my friend?
Can we get yours and Joe's thoughts on how JJ will go year 2?
Was that what you said, Xbox? I didn't see it the other day.
I'm not feeling comfortable right now based off some of the things he said this summer.
It was a very up and down year for JJ last.
It's not last year. I don't hold anything on last year. Even the chances and the experiments that he had to make at the end of the year, that keeping the starters in the whole second half, totally not upset with any of that. Totally get it. They were close to getting it done. It's just LeBron doesn't know how to close at this point in his career. So, and that was a problem even before JJ got there. So it wouldn't be logical to blame him. Where I'm worried now is some of the things he said about the lineup this summer, who he plans on including into the lineup. And I also want to see how he's going to handle the Marcus Smart, Austin Reeves stuff. And JJ Redick is a hothead. He gets very defensive. And
but he's also had a lot to learn, Joe, because
when
he
you're
was
defensive,
a rookie head coach last year.
When you're defensive all the time and a hothead, and I remember Nick Saban used to be chippy with the media, but much like the Bill Cowers and the Bill Parcells of the world, they picked their spots when they unleashed. JJ Redick doesn't really pick spots. He's kind of always like that because of whatever reason. My advice and my last thoughts for tonight is JJ Redick needs to make sure that he prioritizes winning the entire season, not accommodating. This isn't high school football, basketball, where you're trying, or college, where you're trying to help boosters and parents get what they want. This is professional sports. The objective is to win. Put the best lineup in there and put your players in the best position possible to win. It's obvious when a coach does that. And it's also obvious when he doesn't do that.
Well, I think he did make a few rookie mistakes last year. He did get out-coached in several instances last year. So I don't agree totally with what Joe says. So I don't give him a pass. He was a storied veteran in the league, and he's played with some of the best coaches in college in the NBA. Yes, he was his first foray into coaching at any level. And you saw that at times there were some coaches that in second halves of games during the season really, really laid a plan out there that he just couldn't overcome. But with that said, in the playoffs, if you don't want to fault him for, like you said, trying certain things, including playing the starting lineup the entire second half, I know that there's some that do. I'll just say that he needs to show the improvement from year one to year two to understand, really, if not with Luka heading to what could be an MVP level like season, how much can he facilitate the team around him to be able to help Luka get to a high level this season? I think a lot of pressure is on JJ to have a winning team at or near the same level that they were last season. I think, when you have a team that's predicted to win almost 50 games, it's right there already.
Unless JJ really goes up a couple notches, I don't see a future. New management, new ownership's going to want their own guy.
They usually do. A new GM will come in place, and a new GM will want his own coach. Yeah.
That's I'm not really going to look at this too long. I just hope they don't find somebody like Dave Roberts. That's the only mistake that I think they've made, in my view.
Xbox, I want to know why you think Dalton is going to bounce back. I want to know why, because, again, he was in a really bad place after the trade, and it just seemed like what I saw in Vegas didn't give me any confidence that it's going to happen still. I like your faith into it, but I can't go off of faith. I have to go at what I see. Now, like you said, next week when the Lakers start training camp, he could come in there a new, refreshed man. Maybe he got some conversations behind the scenes, Joe, but with the Lakers being realistically only 7 deep, with quality players they can throw out there on a consistent basis, there is every ample opportunity for Dalton to prove Xbox right and to be able to become a part of that rotation, Joe.
That's great. Perform and you're welcome.
Heck no, JSJ. I don't know if you you were on yesterday when I was on doing the State of Pro Wrestling. You saw that. I'll give you an instance for WrestleMania this year. I think what I saw in that graph chart that I guess was I don't remember personally what it was being sold at, but it said the 2-day tickets for this year were being sold at the 400 level for $350, and now they're being offered at $800. I don't know if it's that dramatic of an increase. Again, that was just one individual reporting on the seating charts for both. But if that's the case, and it is that much more expensive for WrestleMania, it's not worth it. I've been to 2 WrestleManias. I'm good. Now, if I get press passes for it or somebody gives me a comp for it, I'll go. I'll gladly go and be appreciative for it. But yeah, paying $800 for a sporting event over the course of 2 days, such as WrestleMania. It's great, and I love pro wrestling, but yeah, I'm sorry, I can find better allocations of $800, and I'll just leave it at that, Joe. I think you can too. I mean, I've spent most I've spent on a sporting event. It's about 200-300. I think I've spent on a sporting event. What is the most you've spent on a ticket?
I think $400 on a single ticket.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like shoes, except shoes stay with you, whereas a game is just one.
Uh-huh. By the way, who do you like better, RVD, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy? Johnny is asking. I think I would say
from a wrestling standpoint or an entertainment standpoint.
Okay.
AJ Styles was the superior wrestler of the 3. Jeff Hardy was the extreme wrestler of the 3, and then RVD was the better entertainer.
ECW RVD.
Yes, there's no such thing as RVD outside of ECW.
Well, WWE, he was actually
he's good
in the early years. He was actually quite successful in those early years.
He was very successful. But
McMahon
RVD,
actually put a rocket up to him before he got caught for the now marijuana.
ECW RVD is an iconic wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
That was his jam. Much like how Sting is WCW, NWA, RVD is ECW, and anything he did outside ECW is second, third compared to what he was at ECW.
Even he talks about it, even though he did what he did when he won the WWE title. It's still for him all about the ECW, and I can't.
And that's that wrestling between wrestling in the 90s and parts of the beginning of the 2000s. I stopped watching in the late 90s, but
the Attitude Era.
The Attitude Era was the 80s basketball. It was 80s NBA basketball. There's never going to be an era that would, in terms of competitiveness and pure talent at its highest level. I've learned as I got older to appreciate Shawn Michaels more. At the time, I thought Shawn Michaels was propped up too much. But as time went on, you started appreciating the Shawn Michaels more and a lot of the guys that I generally didn't like as much. Even The Undertaker to a degree. I didn't think The Undertaker was much in the 90s. He actually got better the older he got.
Yeah.
But my guy, Scott Hall. Scott Hall was, if I was going to be a wrestler, I would have been Scott Hall. I have full confidence that had I been a professional wrestler, I would have been Scott Hall or the second rendition of Scott Steiner. And I the first rendition is actually the best Scott Steiner because the Frankensteiner stuff, the stuff that guy did in the wrestling. I mean, Bret Hart, probably the best technical guy, but Jesus Christ, Scott Steiner before Big Papa Pump. Even Kevin Nash talked about it. He goes, I'm not going to go wrestle that son of a gun. I get Frankenstein off a third rope and flipped and all over the place. And I'm like, seeing some old clips of what that man used to do to guys like the Big Show, suplexing the Big Show like he's nothing. And I'm just like, man, unreal how athletic some of these guys were. And I don't see it anymore. I don't see anything close to that anymore now.
Yeah.
And everything's every woman wrestler looks like a hooker to me. Sorry, it's true. I'd rather have the old glow girls at this point. At least they looked a little bit more tasteful.
I don't agree with that statement, but okay, that's your opinion.
They all look like strippers. Come on, they all look like strippers. Don't tell me they don't.
They don't. They don't. Not all of them, I will say. But some of them are really, really good. I'll just say it now. They're much better than your glow girl days.
Sure. But the girls didn't get a lot of opportunity back in the 90s. I wish they did, and we probably would have saw better wrestling. It's too bad because China had the look, and she had the prestige, but she couldn't wrestle. If she had learned to wrestle well, I think her career would have.
She had to wrestle in a lot of occasions. She wanted to wrestle the male wrestlers, and not always the sentiment. I remember the famous Jeff Jarrett was told to drop the title, the IC title, to her, and he held out and got more cash, and got paid before leaving himself. So he got it. He held out. Got his cash from extra cash from Vince McMahon. Then he dropped the title, and I believe he left to WCW, if I'm not mistaken. So, yes, there you go. Sorry, sir, to any.
Yeah, I don't relate to today's wrestling at all. I think the kayfabe was a big part of the aura of wrestling, and when that kind of went away, it went away in the Attitude Era. Really, it was the beginning, but there was still that element of surprise. We didn't have the internet ruining everything. So once things got too obvious, I think the aura kind of went away for me, at least.
Best, I'm still like 400 words in on editing your article that you're writing, because I know. Because you said because of the language barrier, I'm trying to do my best to try and translate it to the audience while still trying to utilize your words. I am going to have to say, though, D'Anthony Melton, you pointed in your article upcoming, he was going to be signed, and he has been earmarked to go to Golden State. So he was probably not going to sign with anyone else, but just wanted to mention that to you as well. But yes, I am working on your article, which is quite extensive, on your thoughts on the Lakers, and I'm trying to put it out there as soon as I can. But I need to make sure it's in the spot where you're comfortable with it, and so is our audience. So yes, absolutely. Yes, I will let you know, best. But yeah, I didn't want to let you know on the D'Anthony Melton part, because you put him in there, and he is going to sign. He has been linked to sign with Golden State as soon as this Jonathan Kuminga is wrapping up. Can't wait for Rock versus Stone Cold in WrestleMania 43. Rock has to gain. Well, yeah, because Rock, I don't know if Stone Cold will be able to do it, but I know that, like you said, with the Saudis' interest, now that Saudi Arabia has WrestleMania 43 coming up in 27, if they want their wrestlers, they just might get them. We might see Rock versus Stone Cold once again. I wouldn't put it past it. I mean, money buys everything. So. But yes, great to have everyone here. What? Well,
can't buy me.
Well, that's because you said you're rich already.
So. Yeah, from my own money, not from somebody else's money.
Oh, it's from Artificial Turf's money.
True, but that's from something I built. I didn't sell out.
WWE, according to a lot of people, have sold out by going to Saudi Arabia in 2027.
Yeah, because a lot of these do-gooders will sit there and put on their little tweets and the X's and say, "We're here to support this." Well, you take Saudi Arabia's money, know how their lifestyle is. Read up. And if you don't believe the reading, stay in Saudi. Go to Riyadh and go to Jeddah for 6 months, and you'll start seeing things flying off roofs.
But that's Saudi Arabia's
and it ain't soccer balls.
Well, but
it ain't soccer balls.
Plan. That's their sports washing.
This is nothing. This is not a surprise. I'm not saying this to be
No, they bought F1. They bought European soccer. They bought a whole lot of.
Know who's buying you out, folks. Yeah. Aren't they going to pay Tom Brady $75 million to throw some balls in flag football?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. So I don't want to see Tom Brady wearing some kind of pin for support for something. Know where you're getting your money from.
Everybody's got a price except for Joe.
And it's sad, too, considering someone who is filthy rich and needs to make money off of certain things that are much different than how you conduct yourself. They couldn't buy Tiger Woods, that LIV thing, though. I got to give props to Tiger Woods on that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Tiger didn't sell out. Just saying.
JSJ, I think, like I said on the show, the Pop Culture Cosmos show that's going to appear this weekend, I recorded, and you were there. I said that London, this opens up the door for London because London has been begging to have a WrestleMania. And I think London would be an outstanding place to have a WrestleMania because that they support and have supported WWE for decades now. So I said that when it comes to Saudi, it's, again, Joe, it's back to what sports washing is what they term it to be, where they're buying all the, into all these sports league or getting them to experience that in Saudi Arabia in order to go ahead and promote Saudi Arabia to the world, to kind of forget what Saudi Arabia, like you said, is all about, Joe. Or has been all about, as far as with certain laws and restrictions in that country.
Yeah, certain laws and restrictions. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I'm trying to be as careful as I can so I don't get us banned.
What, telling the truth?
Yes. You never know. We may need
Let me say this. Saudi Arabia.
I don't want to get caught in Saudi.
Saudi Arabia. Look, I'm a Middle Eastern, so I can speak. I'm from the Middle East. My bloodline.
Well, no, I wouldn't mind visiting Saudi if it was
careful.
in a better situation.
Be careful opening your mouth about causes.
Jailed in Saudi.
Be careful if you're taking Saudi's money. You better shut up. Just saying.
I just don't want to be in jail in Saudi Arabia. That's
quiet.
That's there was a situation years ago where they held up a plane of the WWE's wrestlers at the time. This happened, I think, in the 90s, where they held up a plane in Saudi Arabia because of certain issues and the disagreements and whatnot. And I don't want that to happen. I just, again, it is what it is.
You don't want it to happen.
Yes. Best League said, did Melton agent say he was sure for? Yes, Best. If you've read up on it, yes, DeAnthony Melton is headed to Golden State and has been earmarked for that. That's for quite some time, along with Seth Curry, along with Al Horford. They're all waiting, and there's one more player. I forget who off the top of my head is, but they're all waiting for the Jonathan Kuminga thing to come to an end. Yes. So, and by the way, the Lakers can't even sign DeAnthony Melton, Best League, because remember, there's another situation, Joe, where you have a veterans minimum, and the Lakers can't afford to pay at a veterans minimum right now with their final spot on the contract. They can't afford it. They just simply can't. So you reap what you sow. So, all right, Jared Vanderbilt, indeed, right there. That's where a lot of your money is being sucked up. So that you could have utilized better ways. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me. Who owns what? The Ping Pong League? I don't know. That I don't know. But don't ever count out the Chinese are very good at ping pong, from my memory. So yes. We'll find out in the Olympics, though, who wins in ping pong. Interesting. When was the last time you played ping pong? For me, about 10 years ago.
I think 6 months ago at my cousin's joint. Yeah.
Really? Did you win?
I won a couple games, but my cousin was pretty good that night.
No, actually, I played in Hawaii 2 years ago. I'm sorry. Yes, I played in Hawaii with the family. That was fun.
Ping pong's an interesting game. Sometimes you're going to play somebody where you really have to focus.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, it gets pretty testy.
I agree. No, I agree. I hope that Marty Supreme movie is going to be good because that bases itself off of ping pong right there. All right. We'll get on out of here. It's past midnight. It is, of course, Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. Truly appreciate you joining us. Go ahead and make sure you hit up on the Joe Soro experiment. Go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe for me. Catch my NBA team previews. I'm putting a lot of work into trying to line these people up all around the world. At least you guys can do is watch them because they're informative and entertaining. And also as well, I ask really good questions to these guys that are providing really good answers on each NBA team that they cover. So please go ahead and support Lakers Fast Break by watching the NBA team previews. And last but certainly not least, Joe and I are examples of happy customers and happy individuals of the Drip Show Shop. Please support Drip Show at Drip Show Shop on Instagram and Twitter. And if you need or want something, you want something like what you saw with me with the Kobe Genesis canvas art, or right behind Joe in the corner right over there, or one of the hats Joe wears, or one of the shirts that he's been wearing that Drip Show made. Those are things you should ask your family to go ahead and hit up Drip Show to go ahead and make. That'd be that would be an awesome holiday gift, Joe.
It would be. Great gear, great hats, great merchandising. Everything's great.
All right. Best League. Again, I'll let you know if I have any issues going ahead editing your article, but I do plan to get it out there. Wanted to go ahead and make sure you know that. But yes, Jovan Buha, we've decided we disagree with him. Joe would like Austin out of the starting lineup. I am just not convinced that Marcus Smart is at that point yet healthy to be out there, to be in the starting lineup, and will stay out there. I have to see it first. Just give me 15 games, 10 to 15 games. If he's all right coming off the bench, 25 minutes a game, I'll reconsider it indeed. Go Jailblazers. Are they still the Jailblazers, Joe?
No, the Jailblazers nickname was because they had players that kept getting in trouble.
Yeah, that era is gone.
Bonzi Wells and Rasheed Wallace and all those crazy do-batters.
Sports Baby, they might come back in 2027.
DX.
If the price is right. If the price is right. And the Saudis want it. If the Saudis want it.
What are they going to do? Get their canes out and do a double X on their...
Triple H, he might, because remember, he's on a pacemaker. So Triple H, has to be really careful out there.
Yeah, so. The Triple H doesn't have a lot of time left, and Shawn Michaels did so much damage that he can't even look straight.
He just talked about his. I think he has to replace both knees and the hips. I know the knees part. I remember him saying that last week about the knees, but I think the hips as well. But yeah, again, if they want to wheel him out there, if they get the right price for 27, there you go. But of course, it is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. We'll be back later this week or even this weekend. We'll go ahead and depends on the news. If there's any cycle of news that comes out for the Lakers that we think is important, we're going to hit you up on it. And make sure you stay up to date with the Dodgers, with Joe Soro and the Joe Soro experiment, and us right here with the Lakers, right here on the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.